Take a profound moment, if you will, to truly grapple with this unsettling proposition, to let its implications reverberate through your deepest convictions. What if the good you ceaselessly strive for, the moral compass that meticulously guides your every choice, the very truths you clutch with unwavering, almost sacred certainty, what if these aren't born from some pristine, crystalline wellspring of pure, unadulterated reason, from an objective, undeniable, universal insight? What if instead they emerge from something far more unsettling, far more intricately human, deeply embedded in the historical and psychological tapestry of our existence? What if they are, in fact, the lingering echoes of forgotten errors, the convenient, often unconscious rationalizations of ancient fears and primordial instincts, or the subtle, pervasive, yet utterly compelling weight of inherited illusions passed down through countless generations without a single, truly critical glance? Consider, for a moment, the vast, transformative implications of such a question. Imagine that the foundational convictions you've always assumed were as solid and unyielding as bedrock beneath your feet are, in reality, nothing more than intricately woven fictions, a tapestry of shifting sands, meticulously built upon layers of unexamined assumptions, communal conveniences, and comforting narratives. Every deeply held belief that shapes your worldview, every cherished value that defines your identity, every fundamental assertion about reality itself, what if their origins are far murkier, far more arbitrary, and far less noble than you've ever dared to conceive? What if the unquestioned foundations of your spiritual life, your ethical framework, your entire intellectual edifice are not the products of pure, independent, enlightened thought, but rather elaborate structures designed primarily to provide comfort, to impose order on a chaotic world, and to foster a soothing, albeit potentially false, sense of belonging, rather than an unvarnished, often brutal encounter with unadorned truth? This isn't merely an idle philosophical diversion, a clever parlor game for the intellectually curious. This is a profound and, for many, a deeply unsettling, even terrifying challenge. It is an invitation, an almost defiant gauntlet thrown down, extended to a very specific kind of individual, one who possesses a rare, exhilarating, and frankly, often inconvenient form of intellectual and existential courage. It's an urgent, radical call to become precisely what Friedrich Nietzsche so famously championed and embodied: a free spirit. But what does it truly mean, in its most demanding sense, to embody the spirit of a free thinker? It means being someone not merely willing, but actively eager to ask these profoundly unsettling questions, these uncomfortable inquiries, not just about the beliefs, biases, and blind spots of others, but, most crucially, about your own most sacred cows, your most deeply ingrained prejudices, your most comforting illusions. It means possessing the audacious, almost impudent, will to look beneath the polished surface of convention and tradition, to scrutinize with unblinking eyes the very ground upon which your most fundamental assumptions stand. A free spirit understands that genuine intellectual and spiritual liberation doesn't come from exchanging one set of dogmas for another, but from a radical, often brutal, and deeply personal skepticism directed inwards. It demands a terrifying yet ultimately liberating willingness to dismantle and reevaluate everything you hold dear, every cherished concept, every received wisdom, every convenient narrative that has shaped your understanding of self and world, even if that dismantling leaves you feeling exposed and disoriented. It requires the immense strength and resilience to potentially stand alone, stripped bare of comforting illusions, in a relentless pursuit of a truth that might prove inconvenient, painful, or even fundamentally reshape the very core of your identity. It is precisely this audacious, uncompromising, and profoundly human project that we find pulsating at the very heart of Friedrich Nietzsche's groundbreaking and profoundly unsettling work, Human, All Too Human, a Book for Free Spirits. Published in 1878, this book wasn't just another philosophical treatise. It marked a pivotal, almost seismic, moment in his intellectual journey. It was a deliberate, courageous break from his earlier romanticism, signaling his dramatic emergence as a merciless psychologist, a genealogist of morals, and a searing cultural critic. In these pages, Nietzsche doesn't offer soothing reassurances, nor does he provide easy, comforting answers. Instead, he presents us with an intellectual hammer, daring us to shatter the idols we've unknowingly worshipped, to chip away at the moral, philosophical, and psychological statues erected by millennia of human endeavor and unquestioned acceptance. He compels us to confront the startling, often distressing, possibility that our deepest convictions, our inherited notions of good and evil, our accepted concepts of truth, our most hallowed traditions, and even our seemingly most altruistic impulses might be nothing more than intricate psychological constructs, historical accidents, subtle social engineering, or perhaps even refined, sublimated expressions of self-interest, weakness, or resentment, cleverly disguised as universal, eternal, and divinely sanctioned truths. This book, Human, All Too Human, is not merely an analysis, it is an arduous journey into the very origins of our values, a ruthless genealogy of morality, thought, and culture. It is for those prepared to embark on an intellectual adventure where no belief is sacred, where no truth is absolute, until it has been subjected to the most rigorous, the most unsparing, the most brutally honest re-evaluation imaginable. Are you truly ready to peer into the often shadowed origins of your own convictions? Are you prepared to question the very fabric of your mind, to trace the lineage of your truths back through the forgotten errors and convenient fictions that might have birthed them, shaping your entire existence without your conscious consent? Because if you are, if you possess even a flicker of that courage, then you are ready for Nietzsche. You are ready to become a free spirit. And our journey here and now into the radical depths of Human, All Too Human, has only just begun. Welcome, fellow seekers of understanding, to a journey that might just reshape how you view not only one of history's most formidable thinkers, but also, crucially, yourself. Today, we're diving into a book that often sits in the shadow of Nietzsche's later, more polemical works, yet holds a unique power and profound wisdom. Human, All Too Human, a Book for Free Spirits. Now, if your mental image of Friedrich Nietzsche, like mine once was, is primarily of an angry, mustachioed philosopher thundering pronouncements from a mountaintop, prepare for a delightful, perhaps even tender surprise. I confess, for years that caricature dominated my perception. I saw him as a figure of stern judgment, uncompromising, perhaps even cynical. But this book unveiled a different man entirely. It revealed a brilliant, empathetic observer of the human heart, a meticulous psychologist dissecting our motivations, our self-deceptions, and our quiet struggles with surprising compassion and nuanced understanding. It showed me a Nietzsche who, far from just an angry man, was a profoundly insightful, almost therapeutic guide, keenly interested in how we construct our realities. To truly appreciate human, all too human, we must first grasp the pivotal moment in Nietzsche's intellectual life from which it so distinctly emerged. This wasn't the Nietzsche of the birth of tragedy or the untimely meditations, still wrestling with grand metaphysical systems and the romantic idealism of Schopenhauer and Wagner. No, this book marks a profound and deliberate break, a decisive intellectual turn away from those earlier, more metaphysical leanings and towards a new kind of thinking. Plagued by severe, debilitating illness and retreating to the quieter, sun-drenched climes of Sorrento, Nietzsche began to look at the world, and indeed at himself, with strikingly new eyes, the eyes of a scientist, a meticulous observer, a nascent psychologist. He consciously turned his penetrating gaze from cosmic dramas to the microscopic workings of the human psyche, examining our beliefs, our morals, our art, and our social structures, not through a lens of divine revelation or abstract, idealized philosophy, but through rigorous, unsentimental observation, relentless questioning, and a deep, almost clinical appreciation for the mundane, the all-too-human aspects of our existence. This methodological shift was revolutionary for him, and it's precisely what makes this collection of aphorisms and essays so profoundly accessible, practical, and enduringly relevant. It's a testament to his self-recovery, both physical and intellectual, and a celebration of clear, unsentimental thinking, stripped bare of illusion. Indeed, Human, All Too Human isn't a dense, forbidding philosophical tome designed to intimidate. Rather, it's a remarkably intimate conversation, a collection of hundreds of short, incisive observations presented in an aphoristic style that invites you to pause, to reflect deeply, and most importantly, to examine yourself with fresh eyes. It's a practical and profoundly compassionate guide for self-examination, a powerful tool for cultivating intellectual freedom. Nietzsche, the psychologist, isn't lecturing, he's gently, but firmly, challenging us to look beneath the polished surface of our cherished values, our inherited truths, and conventional wisdom. He's asking us to become free spirits ourselves, to critically assess what we've been told and instinctively believe, and to courageously forge our own authentic understanding of what it means to live well, to thrive. Our mission with this video series is precisely that: to use Nietzsche's extraordinary insights as a mirror. A clear, uncompromising mirror held up to our own lives, our deeply held beliefs, our motivations, and our all-too-human nature. We'll explore how his observations, penned over a century ago, resonate with uncanny precision in our modern world, helping us understand everything from our personal anxieties and relationship dynamics to the complexities of societal trends and the human need for meaning. Think of this as less of a traditional lecture and more of a guided, collaborative journey into the depths of human motivation and self-discovery, with Nietzsche as our astute, albeit sometimes provocative companion. We are not just reading Nietzsche, we are engaging with him, allowing his words to provoke our own internal dialogues. Over the course of this exploration, we'll navigate Human, All Too Human in a structured, accessible way. First, we'll delve into Nietzsche's radical methodological shift, his intellectual turn towards scientific and psychological observation and away from metaphysics. We'll understand why he wrote this book as he did and the profound personal journey that led him there. Next, we'll journey through his psychological deconstructions of morality, religion, art, and the illusions we cling to for comfort, examining how these insights serve as a powerful catalyst for personal growth and intellectual liberation. Finally, we'll consider what it means to become a free spirit in the Nietzschean sense, an individual who questions, creates, and lives authentically, and how we can apply these concepts to cultivate a more robust, fulfilling, and intellectually liberated life. So, settle in, open your mind, and prepare to meet a Nietzsche you might never have expected, the compassionate psychologist, ready to help you understand your own human, all too human existence with newfound clarity and courage. Welcome, free spirits, to our journey through Friedrich Nietzsche's monumental work, Human, All Too Human, a book for free spirits. Today, we delve into Chapter 1, a foundational exploration titled The Chemistry of Our Convictions. Prepare to have your most cherished beliefs viewed under a microscope, broken down not to diminish them, but to reveal their astonishingly human origins. Nietzsche, ever the provocateur, proposes a radical idea: our highest, most sublime values, morality, art, religion, love, compassion, are not gifts from a divine realm, nor etched into the fabric of the universe. Instead, he invites us to see them as complex chemical compounds formed over millennia from far simpler, often baser, purely human elements. Think of it just as water, a life-giving substance, is merely hydrogen and oxygen, so too are our grandest virtues, synthesized from more pedestrian ingredients like fear, vanity, self-preservation, and the desire for social cohesion. Consider, for instance, the seemingly undeniable virtue of compassion. We instinctively feel its noble, a pure expression of empathy. But Nietzsche, with his characteristic intellectual scalpel, asks us to perform a chemical analysis. What if, he suggests, compassion is partly a sophisticated form of fear, the fear that if we don't alleviate another's suffering, a similar fate might befall us, or worse, that we might be seen as cold-hearted by our community? What if it's partly vanity, the subtle satisfaction derived from being the benevolent helper, the one who eases pain? Perhaps it's a projection of our own unresolved anxieties, a desire to soothe ourselves by soothing others. Nietzsche isn't saying compassion is bad, he's simply revealing its constituent elements, stripping away the illusion of its pure, heavenly genesis to expose its intensely human, all too human composition. It's an uncomfortable truth for many, but a necessary one for the free spirit. To illustrate this chemistry in our contemporary world, let's turn to a phenomenon that has blossomed in recent decades: the pervasive wellness culture. On the surface, it appears to be a laudable pursuit, a genuine desire for health, longevity, mental clarity, and personal optimization. Who could argue against wanting to eat better, move more, practice mindfulness, or seek spiritual growth? These are noble aims, rooted in a very human aspiration for flourishing. But let's apply Nietzsche's chemical analysis. How quickly has this pursuit of wellness evolved from a personal endeavor into a potent status symbol, a moral imperative, and a commodity? The organic, gluten-free, locally sourced diet, the exclusive boutique fitness classes, the silent meditation retreats in exotic locales, the carefully curated social media feeds showcasing perfectly sculpted bodies and serene, enlightened poses. These elements, while perhaps originating from a desire for genuine health, have fused with something more primal. They now signal not just health, but often wealth, discipline, self-control, and even a kind of moral superiority. The fear of illness, yes, but also the fear of being seen as unhealthy, undisciplined, or unfashionable. The genuine joy of physical activity, yes, but also the vanity of presenting a certain image, the desire for social validation, the longing to belong to an elite group of enlightened individuals. Wellness culture in this light can be deconstructed into elements of status anxiety, performative self-care, commercial exploitation, and the eternal human quest for distinction. It's not just about health, it's also about a complex interplay of deeper, often less conscious, human drives. Now, I can already hear the skeptical whispers, isn't this just cynical? Doesn't this strip life of its beauty and meaning? To that, Nietzsche would emphatically retort, no, quite the opposite. This deconstruction isn't an act of cynicism, it is an act of liberation. If our highest values aren't divinely ordained or universally inherent, if they are merely human creations, then the monumental responsibility and the exhilarating freedom falls squarely upon us to create our own meaning, to forge our own values. This perspective is not about discrediting compassion or dismissing the benefits of wellness. It's about empowering us to understand why we value them and to consciously decide if these values truly serve our individual flourishing rather than blindly inheriting them. When we recognize the purely human origins of our convictions, we break free from the chains of tradition, dogma, and the unspoken mandates of society. We cease to be passive recipients of truth and become active creators. This is the joy, the profound responsibility of the free spirit to consciously examine, question, and ultimately self-legislate. It's about moving beyond what is given and toward what can be, chosen and affirmed by an awakened intellect. And so, dear listener, as we conclude this initial exploration, I offer you a challenge, a small but profound exercise in free-spirited inquiry. Pick one of your own strong convictions, perhaps a deeply held moral belief, a specific aesthetic taste that you consider inherently superior, or even a spiritual tenet that guides your life. Take a moment, truly think about it. Now, with Nietzsche's chemical lens, try to trace it back. What are its potential, less than noble origins? Did that unwavering sense of justice come from a childhood experience of perceived unfairness, perhaps mixed with a desire for control or revenge? Is your passionate defense of a particular art form rooted purely in objective beauty, or does it also contain elements of cultural belonging, intellectual vanity, or a subtle need to differentiate yourself from others? Is that spiritual comfort you seek genuinely transcendent, or does it also fulfill a very human need for security, community, or an escape from the daunting burden of personal responsibility? This isn't about tearing down your beliefs. It's about illuminating their foundations. It's about understanding the intricate dance between our conscious ideals and our subconscious drives, between grand narratives and mundane necessities. It's about seeing the human, all too human, behind everything we hold sacred. By undertaking this chemical analysis, we don't destroy value, we refine our understanding of it. We move from naive acceptance to informed affirmation, creating a space where we can truly become the authors of our own lives and our own values. This, then, is the liberating premise of Human, all too human, an invitation to fearless self-knowledge and the thrilling, if sometimes uncomfortable, journey of becoming who we truly are, unburdened by illusions. Join me next time as we continue our exploration of Nietzsche's world, peeling back another layer of what it means to be truly human. Welcome back to our journey through Friedrich Nietzsche's Human, all too human. In our last chapter, we set the stage for a book that challenges our most deeply held convictions, inviting us to look beyond conventional morality and embrace a more nuanced understanding of human nature. Now, we dive into a concept that, at first glance, might seem unsettling, yet holds within it a profound key to liberation and empathy. Chapter 2, The Compassion in Determinism. Here, Nietzsche confronts one of humanity's most cherished illusions, the concept of free will. It's a topic that has sparked philosophical debate for millennia, but Nietzsche approaches it with a characteristic directness, inviting us to look beyond simplistic notions of choice and responsibility. Nietzsche argues that our actions are not the spontaneous, uncaused eruptions of a disembodied will operating independently of everything else. Instead, he presents them as the necessary, inevitable results of a complex, intricate tapestry of causes. Imagine a river flowing; its direction, speed, and force are determined by the landscape it traverses, the rainfall it has received, the geological formations beneath it. Similarly, our actions, our decisions, our very thoughts, are the culmination of who we are, our unique character, forged by genetics and temperament, our upbringing, with all its specific influences, lessons and traumas, and our environment, the immediate circumstances, societal pressures, and cultural norms that surround us at any given moment. Every choice we make, every word we utter, every path we take is, in Nietzsche's view, the consequence of this immense, interlocking web of prior conditions. It's not that we don't feel like we're choosing, but rather that the choice itself is the necessary output of the sum total of our being and our situation, a predictable response given the specific constellation of internal and external forces at play. Now, this can be a difficult pill to swallow. The immediate, almost instinctive reaction for many is fear. If my actions are determined, one might ask, does that mean I'm just a puppet? Does it mean I have no agency? That I'm powerless? Is this just fatalism, an excuse to do nothing or to justify bad behavior? Nietzsche would vehemently argue against such an interpretation. This isn't about surrendering to a bleak, inevitable future where our efforts mean nothing. On the contrary, understanding the determined nature of our actions is not about abandoning responsibility. It's about transforming our understanding of it. It's about replacing the often punitive, moralistic concept of blame with a deeper, more nuanced understanding. It moves us away from a superficial judgment of right or wrong based on supposed free choice towards a forensic exploration of why something happened, rooted in the intricate interplay of causes. It encourages active investigation rather than passive acceptance. This shift in perspective holds immense personal and interpersonal power. Consider how often we are plagued by guilt over past mistakes. We replay scenarios, wishing we had acted differently, condemning ourselves for perceived failures of willpower or morality. But if our actions were, in fact, the necessary expression of who we were at that specific point in time, given our level of awareness, our emotional maturity, our knowledge, our past experiences, and our circumstances, then the relentless self-blame begins to dissipate. It doesn't mean we condone harmful actions, but it allows for a more compassionate self-assessment. We can say, given everything I was and everything around me, that was the inevitable outcome. This opens the door not to excuse, but to learn, to grow, and to understand the mechanisms that led to those outcomes, thereby empowering us to shape future conditions and ourselves differently. We gain clarity to forge new paths without the crippling weight of unhelpful regret. The same principle applies to our interactions with others. How often do we harbor resentment, anger, or even hatred towards those who have wronged us? We assign malice, selfishness, or willful negligence. But what if we were to adopt Nietzsche's lens? What if we understood that their actions, too, were the necessary consequence of their character, their upbringing, their unhealed wounds, their current pressures, their limited perspectives? This isn't about excusing abuse or injustice, or negating the need for accountability. It's about dismantling the moralistic indignation that so often fuels continued conflict and suffering. It allows us to view others not as fundamentally bad or evil actors making malevolent choices, but as complex beings whose actions are outputs of their own unique, often challenging, causal histories. This understanding is the bedrock of genuine empathy, allowing us to respond with wisdom rather than reflexive condemnation, and to seek resolution rather than retribution. Nietzsche's insights here are strikingly prescient, resonating deeply with modern psychological understanding. Contemporary neuroscience and psychology increasingly affirm the profound influence of factors beyond our conscious control. We now have a sophisticated understanding of the impact of trauma, how early adverse experiences can literally rewire the brain, shaping our reactions, our emotional regulation, and our decision-making processes in ways we are often unaware of. The concept of unconscious bias, for instance, demonstrates how deeply ingrained societal conditioning, cultural narratives, and personal experiences can lead us to make judgments and decisions that we might consciously disavow, yet they operate below the surface. We understand the powerful role of genetics in temperament and predisposition, the influence of neurochemistry on mood and impulse, and the pervasive effects of environmental stressors on mental health and behavior. None of these factors are chosen in a traditional free will sense, yet they undeniably sculpt our actions. Nietzsche, without the benefit of fMRI machines or decades of psychological research, intuitively grasped this complex determinism, seeing the individual not as an isolated, self-generating will, but as an intricate product of forces, both internal and external. He invites us to acknowledge that the self that makes a choice is itself a construct, continuously being shaped by an endless chain of causes. Far from reducing human dignity, this deterministic view, when properly understood, elevates it by fostering a profound sense of interconnectedness and a deeper, more compassionate understanding of the human condition. It liberates us from the burden of absolute moral judgment, both for ourselves and for others, and replaces it with a robust framework for understanding, healing, and growth. It's a call to move beyond superficial blame games towards a mature, empathetic engagement with the complex realities of human existence. This, for Nietzsche, is where genuine freedom, the freedom from illusion, the freedom to understand, the freedom to truly flourish, begins. It is the compassion in determinism. Welcome back, free spirits. In our journey through Nietzsche's Human, all too human, we've begun to strip away the comforting illusions that society often constructs. Now we turn our gaze inward to a realm many find unsettling, our own inner landscape, a turbulent sea of drives, desires, and passions. This is Chapter 3, Harnessing Your Inner Contradictions. For centuries, Western thought has often encouraged us to categorize our inner life into neat boxes, good impulses to be nurtured, and bad ones to be suppressed, denied, or even eradicated. We're taught to strive for a kind of inner purity, a serene calm achieved by taming the wild beasts of our nature. But Nietzsche, with his characteristic audacity, asks us to reconsider this entire framework. What if these so-called dark impulses, ambition, envy, anger, pride, are not defects to be purged, but potent sources of energy, creativity, and drive? What if embracing our full, complex humanity without judgment is the truest path to becoming who we are? This isn't an invitation to unrestrained indulgence or to act out every fleeting desire. Rather, it's an imperative to understand. Imagine your intellect as a skilled rider and your passions as a magnificent, powerful horse. For too long, we've been told the goal is to break the horse, to subdue its spirit, to force it into docile obedience. But a broken horse is a shadow of its former self, its strength diminished, its potential unfulfilled. A true master equestrian doesn't break the horse. They learn its temperament, understand its power, and, through skillful guidance, direct its immense energy towards a chosen destination. The horse remains wild, but its power is now focused and purposeful, carrying the rider with exhilarating speed and grace. Our intellect, Nietzsche suggests, should not seek to crush our passions, but to become an expert rider, steering them with wisdom and intentionality. Let's take envy, for instance, an emotion almost universally condemned. We're taught it's ugly, a sign of weakness, something to be ashamed of and hidden away. Yet, think for a moment about what envy truly signifies. When you feel a pang of envy at another's success, skill, or possession, what is it telling you? It's a signal. It's your inner radar pinpointing something you value, something you desire, something that resonates with your own potential. Envy, in its rawest form, is a recognition of what could be for you, or what you wish you had. Now, the traditional response is to feel bad about it, perhaps resent the person, or try to convince ourselves we don't really want what they have. But Nietzsche encourages us to transform this raw material. Instead of allowing envy to fester into bitterness, what if we treat it as a powerful motivator? If someone's artistic talent sparks envy in you, perhaps it reveals a suppressed artistic ambition within yourself. Instead of wishing them ill or downplaying their achievement, ask yourself, what steps did they take? What can I learn from their dedication, their technique, their journey? How can I channel this recognition of excellence into my own striving? Envy, when understood and directed, can become an unshakable determination to improve, to learn, to create, to become more. It moves you from passive admiration or resentment to active, purposeful engagement with your own development. This is the essence of self-mastery as Nietzsche envisions it. It's not about denying the fundamental forces of our nature, nor is it about letting them run wild without guidance. It is instead about deep self-knowledge, about becoming intimately familiar with every facet of your being, your drives, your desires, your fears, your strengths, your weaknesses, your contradictions. It's about recognizing the inherent power within these impulses, even the ones society deems negative, and then, with conscious intent, directing them towards your highest ideals, towards the grand project of self-overcoming. It's about crafting yourself, much like an artist sculpts clay, using all the raw materials at hand, rather than discarding half of them in a misguided pursuit of perfection. To truly be a free spirit, then, is not to be free from your nature, but to be free to direct your nature. It is to acknowledge that these so-called dark passions are not enemies to be vanquished, but allies whose immense power, once understood and harnessed, can propel you towards a richer, more vibrant, and profoundly authentic existence. This is the path of the self-mastered individual, one who rides their own magnificent, untamed horse with skill, courage, and an unwavering vision of their own becoming. Welcome back, free spirits, to Chapter 4 of our journey through Nietzsche's Human, All Too Human, the Art of Social Observation. In our preceding sections, we've learned to peer inward, examining the intricate workings of our own minds and the shifting sands of our beliefs. Now, it's time to turn our keen gaze outward, applying Nietzsche's profound psychological lens to the bustling, often bewildering, stage of social interactions. This chapter invites us to become astute detectives of the everyday, decoding the hidden motives behind politeness, the unspoken rules of friendship, and the subtle theatrics of social performances. Our ultimate goal to navigate the world not just more effectively, but more wisely, with a deeper, more empathetic understanding of the human condition in all its intricate glory. Let's begin with a force Nietzsche identifies as one of the most fundamental, yet often misunderstood, drivers of human behavior: vanity. For many, vanity conjures images of superficiality, self-absorption, or even outright arrogance. But Nietzsche, with his characteristic refusal to accept conventional moralizing, presents a far more nuanced and productive view. He sees vanity not necessarily as a vice, but as a primary, powerful, and often remarkably beneficial social motivator. What truly drives us to dress impeccably, to excel passionately at our jobs, to recount a witty anecdote, or to seek public recognition for our efforts? Often, it's a deep-seated human desire to be seen, to be valued, to be affirmed by others. This yearning for acknowledgement helps anchor our sense of self within the community. Nietzsche suggests much we laud as altruism or virtue might, upon closer inspection, have a significant thread of vanity woven into its fabric. The generous donor receives public accolades, the dedicated volunteer gains appreciation. While this might sound cynical, Nietzsche's point isn't to condemn these actions, but to understand their full psychological architecture. Without the subtle, insistent pull of vanity, would we strive as hard for reputation or contribution? Probably not. Recognizing vanity as a natural, almost evolutionary, mechanism helps us understand why people behave as they do, and importantly, how to engage with them more effectively. It's a powerful engine, often driving us towards improvement and social cohesion, even if its ultimate fuel is the desire for affirmation. Moving from the individual's inner drives to our deepest connections, Nietzsche offers a particularly challenging, yet ultimately rewarding, perspective on true friendship. He wasn't interested in the kind of friendship that simply echoes our own thoughts back to us or offers unending comfort without genuine challenge. For Nietzsche, true friendship is far more robust, demanding a commitment to mutual growth. He famously valued the concept of an amiable enemy, a friend who is willing to confront, to question, and even to disagree with you, not out of malice, but out of a profound and genuine desire for your intellectual sharpening and personal growth. Imagine a friend who refuses to let you wallow in self-pity, who gently but firmly calls out your intellectual laziness, or who forces you to re-examine a deeply held, perhaps complacent, belief. This isn't always comfortable. It can, at times, feel like an attack on your very identity. Yet, it is precisely in these moments of friction, of intellectual sparring, that we are compelled to strengthen our arguments, broaden our perspectives, and ultimately grow into more refined versions of ourselves. Such a friend is an invaluable ally in the ongoing project of self-overcoming. They are a mirror that doesn't just reflect your desired image, but one that reveals your blind spots and offers essential resistance, pushing you to become more precise in thought, more resilient in spirit, and more profoundly self-aware. This kind of friendship requires courage from both sides to offer the honest, sometimes uncomfortable truth and to receive it without defensiveness or resentment. It implies a mutual respect for each other's intellectual journey and a shared commitment to higher ideals. In a world often filled with superficial pleasantries, Nietzsche reminds us that the most profound and transformative relationships are those where challenge, rather than mere agreement, is welcomed as a powerful pathway to genuine evolution. Now, let's zoom in on the micro-interactions that make up our daily lives: casual conversations, seemingly innocent compliments, and other innocuous exchanges. Nietzsche's psychological lens reveals that these aren't always as neutral as they appear. Beneath the veneer of politeness, subtle power dynamics are constantly at play, often without conscious intent from either party. Consider the simple act of giving a compliment. On the surface, it appears to be an act of praise, a generous gift, but often it's more complex. A compliment can subtly assert the complimenter's position of judgment. I am in a position to evaluate you, and I find you worthy. Accepting it in turn can be a tacit acknowledgement of that assumed authority. Or a compliment can be a strategic move designed to curry favor, to subtly disarm someone, or to elicit a reciprocal positive response. Think about how conversations truly flow. Who interrupts whom? Who subtly dominates the topic? Who consistently shifts the focus back to themselves? Even seemingly innocent questions can be carefully crafted probes, tests of knowledge, or attempts to gain information that can be leveraged later. This isn't to foster paranoia, but rather to cultivate a heightened awareness of the psychological currents that run through every interaction. It's about recognizing that humans are complex beings, constantly and often unconsciously navigating their desire for recognition, control, and influence. This nuanced awareness allows us to move beyond simply hearing words and to start understanding the deeper intentions, the subtle bids for status, or the veiled attempts at influence that lie beneath the surface of everyday interaction. So, how do we integrate these profound insights into our daily lives? Nietzsche doesn't ask us to become cynical or to view every person with suspicion, but rather to become what we might call a psychologist of the everyday. He encourages us to observe, with profound curiosity rather than hasty judgment, the vast array of human motivations playing out around us. When someone behaves in a way that seems irrational, contradictory, or self-serving, instead of immediately condemning them or dismissing their actions, pause and ask, what deeper human need might truly be at play here? What unconscious desire for affirmation, security, control, or perhaps even belonging is driving this particular behavior? This isn't about dissecting people to expose their flaws. It's about developing a profound empathy for the shared human condition, recognizing that we are all, to varying degrees, products of our fundamental drives, our vanities, and our deepest aspirations. And crucially, this observational practice must extend fiercely to ourselves. Become a psychologist of your own everyday. Question your own motives, your own reactions, your own subtle attempts at influence or self-presentation. What hidden vanity might be driving your politeness? What unconscious power play might be lurking in your casual conversation? By cultivating this curious, non-judgmental observational stance, you'll gain an invaluable tool for navigating the world. You'll become more discerning, better able to understand the true nature of interactions, and less susceptible to manipulation. You'll learn to engage with others not just on the superficial level of their words and actions, but on the deeper currents of their psychology. This is the true art of social observation, the profound wisdom that Nietzsche offers us to see humanity in all its all-too-human complexity, with clear eyes and a discerning mind, thus equipping us to live more intentionally, more authentically, and ultimately more wisely. Welcome back, free spirits, to our journey through Friedrich Nietzsche's profound work, Human, All Too Human. In this chapter, Chapter 5, we confront a concept Nietzsche held in the highest esteem, essential for genuine independent thought, self-discovery, and true intellectual liberation: the power of intentional solitude. In an age saturated with constant connection and endless information, Nietzsche's advocacy for solitude might seem radically isolating. Yet, it's a vital distinction for any free spirit, the profound difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness, as many experience, is a state of unwanted lack, a painful absence of connection, often disempowering. Solitude, conversely, is a deliberate chosen abundance. It's an active cultivation of one's inner world, a conscious withdrawal from immediate clamor to foster reflection and forge inner strength. For Nietzsche, to embrace solitude is to claim sovereignty over one's mind, creating pristine conditions for intellectual and spiritual growth. It is the fundamental training ground for the individual daring to transcend herd morality, the unexamined values and opinions of the anonymous crowd. Consider our modern predicament. We are the most interconnected generation, yet often feel most disconnected from ourselves. Devices ping, feeds scroll, news cycles demand attention, flooding our mental landscape. This perpetual external stimulus creates a dense fog, preventing us from hearing our own inner voice. How can we discern what we truly think, value, or desire when our minds are constantly occupied by others' thoughts? This incessant external noise makes deep introspection nearly impossible, leaving us susceptible to pre-packaged ideas and popular consensus without critical examination. We risk becoming mere echoes, rather than originators, of our own unique thoughts. Nietzsche understood that to truly think for oneself, one must first be with oneself. He envisioned solitude as the ultimate laboratory for the mind. Like a scientist controlling variables, in solitude we conduct vital experiments with our ideas, values, and beliefs, free from external judgment. Here, we strip away societal expectation, dogma, and conditioning, daring to ask fundamental questions: what do I truly believe? What is my philosophy of life, independent of trends? What kind of person do I want to become? In this sacred, often challenging space, unburdened by the need for external validation or the fear of judgment, we gain the courage to challenge established truths and forge our own understanding of the world. It's here, in the quiet crucible of self-confrontation, that the free spirit takes flight, testing their wings against convention. Now, in our hyper-connected world, carving out meaningful alone time might seem unattainable, but it's a necessity achievable with intention. Here are a few practical tips for cultivating your own laboratory of solitude. Firstly, schedule it. Treat it as a non-negotiable appointment with yourself. Dedicate specific blocks of time to disconnecting: an hour a day without screens, a morning walk phone-free, or a Sunday devoid of social media. Secondly, create physical spaces for solitude. This needn't be a mountain retreat. A specific chair, a quiet park corner, a library, or even your commute, consciously choosing silence. Designate these as personal sanctuaries. Thirdly, engage in solitary activities that foster reflection. Journaling, mindful meditation, deep reading of challenging texts, or simply quiet contemplation. Embrace creative silence moments of just being, allowing new ideas to form. Fourthly, cultivate the courage to say no. Decline social invitations that drain your energy or don't align with your need for self-reflection. Protect your boundaries and your alone time. Saying no to others is often saying yes to yourself. Finally, embrace small, quiet moments. Instead of automatically reaching for your phone when waiting or during a lull, practice simply being present. Observe, reflect, and allow your mind to wander without immediate distraction. These small pockets of quiet accumulate into significant periods of introspection. The power of intentional solitude, as Nietzsche articulated, is not about abandoning the world, but about engaging with it more authentically and powerfully. It's about sharpening your unique perspective, strengthening your inner resolve, and ultimately becoming more fully and courageously yourself. Only when we master the art of being alone can we truly master the art of being human. Welcome back to our exploration of Nietzsche's Human, all too human. We've journeyed through the intricate layers of human psychology, deconstructed the hidden origins of morality, and questioned the very foundations of truths we hold dear in society. Now, as we arrive at Chapter 6, we confront the grand synthesis of this intellectual odyssey, the lifelong path of the free spirit. What exactly does Nietzsche mean by a free spirit? This isn't merely defiance, rejecting the status quo out of spite or superficial desire. Such rebellion is often just reactivity, still bound by what it opposes. No, the free spirit is something far more profound, far more active and self-directed. They are, above all, a courageous experimenter with life itself, recognizing that truths are often created, not simply found. They don't merely accept inherited values, dogmas, or ways of living. They dare to test them, to question their utility and origin, and crucially, to live beyond them if they prove insufficient or based on illusion. Their goal is to forge an authentic path, one built upon an ongoing, personal inquiry into what is genuinely true and valuable for them, creating their own morality and meaning. At the very heart of this audacious endeavor, its unwavering compass is intellectual conscience. This is perhaps the most demanding, yet ultimately most liberating, tool in the free spirit's arsenal. It is the relentless, unyielding will to be brutally honest with oneself, above all else a commitment transcending comfort, tradition, and ego. It means turning the same critical, genealogical gaze we've applied to societal dogmas inwards, scrutinizing our own deepest beliefs, our motivations, our most cherished convictions. It's the willingness to dismantle our most comfortable illusions, to expose the human, all too human roots of our deepest truths, and to relentlessly ask, why do I truly believe this? Is it demonstrably true, or simply convenient, comforting, socially advantageous, or inherited without question? This ruthless self-honesty isn't for the faint of heart. It often leads to uncomfortable, even painful, truths. It demands an intellectual bravery few possess, but without it, true freedom remains an illusion. This path, however, is never a static destination, a fixed state of arrival where one can finally rest. Instead, it is a dynamic, continuous journey, an endless process of questioning, overcoming, and becoming. The free spirit understands that genuine certainty is often intellectual laziness, a premature halt to vital inquiry. They embrace the inherent discomfort of uncertainty, the perpetual state of flux that comes with truly independent thought and self-creation. Every new insight, every new experience, every new challenge becomes an opportunity to refine their understanding, to shed old skins, transcend past selves, and deepen their self-created values. It means constantly outgrowing oneself, challenging one's own previous conclusions, and fearlessly venturing into new intellectual and existential territories. The free spirit is never truly free in the sense of being done. Rather, they are always in the active, ongoing process of freeing themselves, of shaping and reshaping their own being. Indeed, this path can be profoundly solitary. It is arduous, demanding strength of character, resilience, and a willingness to stand apart that many shy away from. To stand firm in one's own self-created values, often against the current of convention and societal expectation, requires immense courage and a deep well of internal fortitude. Yet, let there be no mistake, this difficult path, this lifelong commitment to radical self-honesty and courageous experimentation, is precisely the path to authentic selfhood. It is the route to genuine individuality, to living a life that is truly one's own, shaped not by external pressures, inherited dogmas, or unexamined assumptions, but by profound inner integrity and a conscious act of will. The reward is not external validation or societal acclaim, but an internal richness, a depth of experience, and a profound sense of self-possession no external force can grant or revoke. It is the ultimate liberation, the creation of a life lived in harmony with one's deepest, most rigorously examined truths, a life of self-mastery and authorship. And in this, despite its undeniable challenges, lies a profound and enduring hope for anyone brave enough to embark upon it. Welcome back, fellow seekers of truth and architects of self. We've delved into Nietzsche's radical call to become a free spirit, urging us to look beyond convention and unpack the all-too-human motives that shape our world. Philosophy isn't just for contemplation, it's a dynamic tool for living. Now, let's translate these powerful ideas into practical action with your very own 7-day free spirit action plan. This isn't about rigid rules, but a guided experiment, a week-long journey designed to turn introspection into tangible self-discovery. Are you ready to engage with your own humanity in a profound new way? Let's begin. Days 1 and 2, observe the motive journal. For the first 2 days, your mission is to become a detective of your own mind. We're starting a motive journal. Here's how each day. Identify one strong opinion you hold. This could be about a political issue, a cultural trend, a personal choice, or a deeply held belief about yourself. Write it down. Then, dedicate time to exploring its potential all-too-human origins. Ask yourself, is this opinion rooted in a desire for comfort, or perhaps a fear of the unknown? Does it stem from a need for social acceptance, or is it inherited from family or community without much personal scrutiny? Could there be a subtle element of self-interest, even if it appears altruistic? Or is it simply a habitual thought you've never truly examined? The goal isn't to judge your opinions, but simply to observe the underlying currents, the psychological springs from which they might flow. Be honest, be curious, and resist the urge to immediately change them. Just observe their genesis. This practice builds profound self-awareness and empathy. Days 3 and 4, question unpacking custom. Now that you've honed your observational skills, let's turn them outward. For days 3 and 4, pick one common social custom, something you participate in almost automatically, and question its very foundation. This could be anything from how you greet people, the small talk topics you default to, or rituals surrounding your daily routine. Once chosen, ask the simple yet profound question, why? Why do we do this? What purpose does it truly serve? Is it for efficiency, respect, tradition, or simply because that's how it's always been done? After dissecting its perceived purpose, allow your mind to wander into alternative possibilities. How else could you achieve the same social outcome? What different actions or responses might be just as effective, or perhaps even more authentic to you? You don't have to act on these alternatives. The exercise is in the intellectual liberation, the breaking of assumed necessity. Challenge the unconscious adherence and feel the expansion of your own agency. Days 5 and 6 practice solitude, the inner landscape. Nietzsche understood the profound importance of solitude for the development of a free spirit. For days 5 and 6, schedule 2 separate 30-minute blocks of complete, device-free solitude. This means no phone, no computer, no TV, no books, no music, no podcasts. Simply be with yourself. You don't need to meditate in a structured way or even have a specific goal. Just let your mind wander freely. Observe the thoughts that arise, the feelings that surface without judgment or attachment. If sitting still is difficult, go for a gentle, aimless walk or simply stare out a window, anything that allows your internal world to unfold without external input or agenda. This isn't about escaping reality, it's about reconnecting with your deepest self, hearing the whispers of your own intuition, and creating mental space for genuine self-reflection to emerge. Allow yourself to be truly alone with your thoughts, a rare and precious gift in our hyper-connected world. Day 7, create your personal value. You've observed, questioned, and embraced solitude. Now, for your final day, it's time to take a step towards active self-creation. Reflect on the insights you've gathered. What has resonated most deeply? What small shift in perspective feels most authentic to you right now? Based on this, define one small, personal value that you want to embody for the week ahead. This isn't about adopting a grand moral code, but something deeply personal and actionable. For instance, perhaps it's, I will seek understanding before judgment, or I will approach new ideas with curiosity rather than immediate skepticism. Write it down. This value will be your guiding star for the next 7 days, a conscious choice you make to shape your own character and your interactions with the world. This is the essence of becoming a free spirit, not just understanding the world, but actively participating in the creation of your own meaning and values. This isn't the end of the journey, but merely the exciting beginning of your ongoing quest for self-overcoming and authentic living. Embrace the journey, free spirit. The world awaits your unique contribution. As we conclude our exploration of Friedrich Nietzsche's Human, all too human, the journey through this remarkable work is one of profound self-reflection. To help solidify these insights, let's distill them into 3 essential principles, a compass for your path as a free spirit. Our first principle is this: look beneath the surface. Nietzsche invites us to become archaeologists of our own convictions, digging deeper than the inherited pronouncements of culture, religion, or tradition. He reveals that what we often hold as eternal, divine, or absolute truths are in fact human, all too human in their genesis. They are constructs born of specific historical circumstances, social needs, fears, and aspirations. They are the ingenious, sometimes mistaken, solutions people found for the problems of their time. This isn't an act of nihilism, but one of immense empowerment. When you understand that your deepest values, your sense of right and wrong, good and evil, beauty and ugliness, are not handed down from some immutable realm, but are products of human ingenuity, you reclaim ownership. You move from being a passive recipient of values to an active participant in their evaluation. You gain the freedom to question, to scrutinize, and ultimately, to choose which values you wish to truly affirm and which you might gently or even radically revise. It is the beginning of intellectual honesty and the bedrock of genuine autonomy. This conscious selection, rather than blind adherence, transforms values from shackles into tools for your flourishing, tailored precisely to the individual you are becoming. Our second guiding principle is to befriend your nature. For centuries, many philosophical and religious traditions have taught us to view our passions, our instincts, our desires, everything raw and untamed within us as obstacles, as the lower self to be suppressed or conquered. Nietzsche, however, offers a radical reevaluation. He asserts that these very drives are not our enemies, they are our vital energy, the raw fuel of our existence. To deny them is to deny life itself, to diminish our potential for creativity, joy, and profound experience. Think of a powerful river. You wouldn't try to stop it entirely, you would seek to channel its force. This principle calls for a deep and fearless self-acquaintance. It's about turning inward, not with judgment, but with curiosity. What moves you? What stirs your deepest longings? What frustrates you? Instead of repressing these powerful forces, the free spirit learns to understand their origins, their direction, and their potential. It's about mastery, not through eradication, but through intelligent redirection. Your anger can become the energy to fight injustice, your ambition, the drive to create something extraordinary, your desire for connection, the foundation for meaningful relationships. By understanding and artfully channeling these energies, you transform potential chaos into profound purpose, making your life a vibrant expression of your deepest self rather than a constant battle against it. This is the path to inner harmony and potent self-realization. And finally, our third principle, freedom, is a practice. Becoming a free spirit isn't a destination you arrive at, a badge you earn once and for all. It is an ongoing, dynamic, and lifelong journey. It is the daily discipline of relentless questioning, not just of the world around you, but of yourself. Why do I believe this? What evidence supports it? What unexamined assumptions am I carrying? It demands acute observation, a keen eye for human nature, for the subtle currents of society, and for the nuances of your own inner landscape. It means cultivating intellectual courage, the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, and the patience to hold multiple perspectives without immediately collapsing into dogma. This constant inquiry and observation are not ends in themselves, but the raw material for creating your own path. A free spirit doesn't merely follow, they forge. They understand that while maps exist, the most authentic journey is one charted by personal experience, critical thought, and creative will. This isn't about reckless abandon, but about intentional living. It's the responsibility and indeed the privilege of self-authorship. Every choice, every affirmation, every challenge met becomes a stroke of the brush on the canvas of your life. It means taking responsibility for your beliefs, your actions, and your character. The freedom Nietzsche champions is not an absence of constraint, but the self-imposed discipline of self-overcoming, of continually striving to become more than you were yesterday, always in motion, always evolving. It is the thrilling, sometimes lonely, pursuit of authenticity in a world that often prizes conformity. These three principles, looking beneath the surface, befriending your nature, and embracing freedom as a practice, form the core of the free spirit's journey as illuminated by Human, all too human. They invite you not to simply consume knowledge, but to live it, to embody it, and to continually reevaluate your existence with courage and integrity. May they serve as powerful reminders as you continue to forge your unique path. Here we stand, At the precipice of understanding, having journeyed through the intricate labyrinth of human motivation and illusion with Nietzsche as our guide, Human, all too human challenges us not just to observe the world differently, but to scrutinize the very lenses through which we perceive ourselves. It asks us to bravely descend into the depths of our most cherished beliefs, to question the origins of our virtues, and to confront the often unflattering truths of our shared humanity. This isn't a passive read, it's an invitation to an active, often uncomfortable, yet ultimately liberating process of self-overcoming. Now, as our exploration of this seminal work draws to a close, the true conversation begins, the one that echoes within you, and the one we can build together. Nietzsche, the great provocateur, once urged us to become free spirits, to cast off the intellectual shackles of convention and inherited wisdom. He encouraged a radical honesty, first and foremost with ourselves. And in doing so, he paradoxically illuminated the beauty and complexity hidden within the very human, all too human traits we often strive to conceal or suppress. He taught us that our imperfections, our inconsistencies, our petty motivations are not merely flaws to be overcome, but rich soil from which profound self-knowledge can blossom. To acknowledge these aspects is not to resign oneself to mediocrity, but to embrace the full spectrum of what it means to be alive, to be authentic, to be a striving, evolving creature. So, I pose this question to you, fellow seeker of truth. What is one all-too-human trait you've learned to appreciate in yourself? Share your story in the comments. Perhaps it's a deep-seated vanity you once abhorred, but now recognize as a spark for creativity, a need for recognition that fuels your efforts to contribute meaningfully. Maybe it's a tendency towards skepticism that once made you feel alienated, but now serves as your personal compass against dogma. Or perhaps it's a vulnerability, a fear, a doubt that when embraced has opened you up to unexpected strength or profound connection. This isn't about celebrating vices. It's about understanding the complex interplay of our inner world, about peeling back layers of judgment to reveal the raw, powerful, and often beautiful motivations beneath. Your journey of self-acceptance, your personal reckoning with the all-too-human, is a testament to the transformative power of Nietzsche's insights. By sharing your experience, you not only deepen your own understanding, but also illuminate the path for others who might be grappling with similar internal landscapes. Let us foster a community where authenticity is valued, and where the courage to confront oneself is celebrated. Your unique perspective adds invaluable texture to this ongoing dialogue, proving that philosophy is not an abstract exercise but a living, breathing part of our personal evolution. If this journey of rigorous self-examination, of questioning the foundations of your thought, and of challenging the conventional wisdom of the ages resonates deeply within your spirit, then I urge you subscribe for more philosophy made practical. Our mission here is to bridge the chasm between dense philosophical texts and the practical realities of modern life. We strive to distill complex ideas like Nietzsche's intricate critique of morality or his concept of the will to power into actionable insights that empower you to navigate your own existence with greater clarity and purpose. Subscribing means joining a growing community of individuals who are committed to intellectual growth, to the pursuit of self-knowledge, and to the courageous undertaking of shaping their own values rather than passively inheriting them. It means arming yourself with the conceptual tools necessary to become a genuine free spirit, capable of independent thought and resilient self-creation. Expect more deep dives into foundational texts, discussions that provoke genuine introspection, and guidance on how to translate ancient wisdom and modern philosophy into a richer, more intentional life. Don't just consume ideas, integrate them, wrestle with them, and allow them to transform you. This channel is a dedicated space for those who refuse to settle for superficial understanding, for those who hunger for intellectual stimulation that truly makes a difference in how they live and how they see the world. Join us as we continue to explore the challenging yet profoundly rewarding landscapes of philosophical thought. To help extend this conversation, to allow other nascent free spirits and curious minds to stumble upon these liberating ideas, please consider a simple yet impactful action like this video. Your engagement helps the algorithms understand the value of this content, pushing it towards those who are actively seeking deeper meaning, who are questioning the status quo, and who are ready to embark on their own philosophical adventures. Every like is a vote for thoughtful discourse, for intellectual courage, and for the proliferation of ideas that challenge us to grow beyond our perceived limits. And as you prepare for your next intellectual leap, I wholeheartedly recommend that you check out our playlist on existentialism. Nietzsche, in many ways, was a precursor to existential thought, tearing down old certainties and forcing us to confront the terrifying freedom of our existence. The existentialists, following in his wake, grappled with the implications of a world without inherent meaning, focusing on themes of individual responsibility, authenticity, dread, and the profound task of creating value in a seemingly indifferent universe. Exploring this playlist will provide a natural and incredibly enriching next step in your philosophical journey, offering further frameworks for understanding the radical freedom and weighty responsibility that comes with being a conscious, self-determining individual. It's an exploration into thinkers like Kierkegaard, Sartre, Camus, and de Beauvoir, who, each in their unique way, picked up the gauntlet thrown down by Nietzsche, daring us to face the abyss and find our footing there. This transition from Nietzsche's deconstruction to existentialism's reconstruction of meaning offers a potent continuum for any truly free spirit. Ultimately, the most profound lesson from human, all too human, and indeed, from all great philosophy, is this: the path is your own. Walk it with courage. There is no prescribed blueprint for a meaningful life, no universal dogma that can truly satisfy the authentic individual. Nietzsche champions the idea of becoming who you are, of crafting your own values, of forging your own unique trajectory through existence. This isn't an easy task. It demands self-awareness, resilience, and the willingness to stand apart. It means facing the uncomfortable truths about yourself and the world, and still choosing to affirm life, to create, to strive. Courage here is not merely the absence of fear, but the resolve to act in spite of it, to confront the vastness of possibility and the weight of responsibility, and to step forward anyway. It is the courage to embrace your individuality, to question the collective unconscious, and to sculpt a life that is truly your own, a work of art in motion. Remember, the journey inward is the most arduous, yet it yields the greatest rewards. Embrace the struggle, cherish the insights, and never cease to question, to grow, and to become more fully yourself. May your spirit be ever free, your mind ever sharp, and your path illuminated by the fire of your own making.